Okay, real talk. What if I told you that one of the most admired, most celebrated countries in the world is quietly running out of road? Not because of a war, not because of a massive scandal, but simply because of math. I am talking about France, the land of croissants, the Eiffel Tower, world-class food, and one of the highest living standards anywhere. And yet, right under all that beauty, there is a financial time bomb ticking louder every year. The wild part is that most people have absolutely no idea this is happening. Today, we are going to walk through the full picture. The aging population, the pension crisis, political meltdowns, and the moment France's debt costs actually crossed above Greece's. Once you see these numbers, you will not be able to unsee them. If you are brand new here, welcome. We break down big topics so they actually make sense. Hit that subscribe button before we get into it because we cover stuff like this all the time and you do not want to miss what comes next. Let's start with the basics. On the surface, France looks fine. It is the 7th largest economy in the world, home to legendary luxury brands, stunning infrastructure, and highly skilled workers. It has a strong tourism industry, world-class wine production, and a rich cultural history that attracts millions every year. France also has some of the most famous universities and research institutions in Europe, fueling innovation in science, technology, and medicine. But France's GDP per capita, essentially how much economic value the country produces per person, has barely moved in nearly 20 years. While comparable economies like Germany, Sweden, and the Netherlands kept climbing forward, France has more or less stalled. Productivity growth has been weak, innovation is not keeping pace, and the standard of living growth is almost stagnant. Some analysts even point out that wage stagnation has become a growing concern, particularly for middle-income families who feel the pinch of high taxes and rising living costs. The political picture is also unstable. France has had 6 different prime ministers in just a few years. This is not normal. Political chaos is dressed in an expensive suit. And at the center of all that chaos is one word: pensions. The pension system is the backbone of the welfare state, and it is under immense pressure. It supports millions of retirees who rely on a combination of government contributions, social insurance, and workplace benefits to maintain their quality of life. Here is the sneaky part. Like most developed nations, France has an aging population. This might sound boring, but the scale is alarming. About 21% of France's population is over 65. By 2050, France is expected to have more people over 75 than under 15. That is more elderly citizens than children. This demographic shift is unprecedented and has serious implications for social services, healthcare, and the workforce. It is not just that people are living longer. The very oldest age groups, the 85 and over crowd, are growing the fastest. These are the people who need the most healthcare, the most long-term support, and the most government spending. Hospitals, nursing homes, and home care services will all face rising demand, creating both logistical and financial strain. This raises a serious question. Who is actually paying for all of this? France runs what is called a pay-as-you-go pension system. Workers today pay taxes, and that money goes directly to current retirees. There is no large investment fund or long-term savings pool. Back in the 1960s, there were 4 workers supporting every retiree. The math was simple and the system worked beautifully. Today, there are about 1.7 workers per retiree, and that number continues to fall. Think of it like a relay race where the baton gets heavier with every lap. That is the position France finds itself in. The system is not broken by design. It was simply built for a demographic reality that no longer exists. So, when the system needs more money, France does what it does best. It taxes heavily. France has one of the highest tax-to-GDP ratios in the developed world. Nearly 48% compared to the OECD average of 34%. That is a structural difference that impacts nearly every part of daily life. Workers are not just paying income taxes. They also contribute enormous amounts to Social Security, pensions, healthcare, and unemployment insurance. Companies feel it just as hard. Hiring a full-time worker can cost an employer up to 45% more on top of the salary and social charges alone. Every new hire is a significant financial commitment, which discourages businesses from expanding their workforce. In 2023, President Macron pushed a reform to raise the retirement age from 62 to 64, just 2 extra years, which seemed reasonable from a financial standpoint. The public had a very different reaction. Millions flooded the streets in protest. Strikes shut down fuel depots, garbage collection, and transportation networks. The country came to a grinding halt multiple times. Macron had to invoke Article 49.3, a constitutional mechanism that allows the government to bypass a parliamentary vote entirely. The law passed, but the political damage was enormous. Approval ratings dropped sharply, and multiple no-confidence votes were barely survived. Even with the reform, analysts say it is still too little, too slow. France paid a huge political price, and the underlying problem remains. France also faces a serious youth unemployment problem. Nearly 17 to 20% of young people cannot find stable work. These are the very people the country needs to pay into the system. The problem is compounded by employment law. CDI contracts, which are permanent and highly secure, make employers cautious about hiring full-time employees. Instead, companies use temporary CDD contracts, creating a revolving door of short-term work. Young people face instability, limited career progression, and little opportunity to contribute long-term to the economy. Highly skilled young people look at the high taxes, rigid job market, and lack of opportunity, and many decide to leave. London has the largest French-speaking community outside of France. Hundreds of thousands of educated French citizens have crossed the channel for better opportunities. When they go, they take their skills, ambition, and future tax contributions with them. The very people France needs to solve its demographic problem. This brain drain adds another layer of economic risk because the most productive workers are choosing to build their futures elsewhere. Zooming out, France's national debt is roughly 110% of GDP and climbing. For decades, borrowing was cheap because investors trusted France. Recently, however, government bond yields crossed above Greece's. Greece, which became the symbol of European debt collapse, now has lower borrowing costs than France. This is a stark warning. Rising borrowing costs make structural problems harder and costlier to fix. Once the cycle starts, it is difficult to stop. If interest rates continue to climb, servicing the debt alone could consume a growing portion of the national budget, leaving even less money for healthcare, education, and pensions. Is this the end for France? Not necessarily. France has real strengths. It has one of the most powerful nuclear energy programs in Europe, giving it a major edge in energy independence and costs. The country has world-class public education and healthcare systems, and its consumer brands are among the strongest in the world. Its transportation network, from high-speed trains to international airports, remains highly efficient, and it is still a leader in aerospace and automotive engineering. France is not alone. Most developed countries face aging populations, outdated pension systems, and political hurdles that make reform extremely difficult. Countries that make hard decisions today will be stronger in 20 or 30 years. Countries that kick the can down the road will struggle. France has the ability to course correct if the political will survives the test of democracy. So there you have it, the full picture of why France's economy is under growing pressure. It is not just about pensions. It is about demographics, political courage, and the brutal math of running a modern welfare state in an aging world. And this is not just France's story. These pressures are quietly building in economies all around the world, perhaps even the one you live in right now. If this gave you value and you want to keep making sense of big stories like this, hit subscribe. We do deep dives like this regularly, and you do not want to miss what comes next. One last thing. If you want to check out the resources, tools, or products we mention in our videos, all links are in the description below. There is genuinely useful stuff waiting for you.